When did you realize that your sibling wasn't a good person? When we were 8, my brother and I got into a fight that seemed to last forever. His name is Ryan, and mine is Lucas. We'd fought before. Little shoves, yelling matches, petty stuff, but that day turned into something different. It started in the backyard after school. Mom wasn't home yet, and Dad was working late. My other brother, Jamie, was sitting on the back steps with a popsicle, watching us like it was entertainment. Ryan had taken my favorite action figure and was taunting me with it, dangling it from his hand like a trophy. I told him to give it back. He laughed in my face, and I snapped. I lunged at him, and we fell into the grass, rolling and throwing punches like two kids who thought they were superheroes. We were the same age, but Ryan had this mean streak in him, a way of turning everything into a contest. Neither of us wanted to lose. Minutes passed, then more. My knees were scraped, his lip was bleeding a little, and Jamie just sat there watching, wide-eyed but silent. At some point, I ended up on top of him, pinning his arms down. I thought it was over. I even said, "Give it up, Ryan," breathing hard. He just glared at me, that glare he had when he was already planning something in his head. Then out of nowhere, a sharp pain exploded under my chin. He'd grabbed a rock from the ground, something about the size of a golf ball, and hurled it straight up at me. I remember the sound it made, a dull, wet smack, and then warm blood spilling down my neck. I stumbled back, clutching my chin, seeing red drip onto my shirt. Ryan froze for a second, then did something I'll never forget. He bolted. He didn't help me. He didn't say sorry. He didn't even look scared of what he'd done. He just turned and sprinted toward the house fast as his little legs could go. Jamie whispered, "Lucas," but didn't move. I got up slowly, pressing my shirt to my chin to stop the bleeding, and started walking home. The walk felt long, even though it was just the stretch of grass to the back door. By the time I stepped inside, my shirt was soaked in blood. Mom had just come home and saw me, and everything went blurry for a second. Her yelling, pulling me toward the sink, wet cloths, the metallic smell. I kept saying, "Ryan threw a rock," but she was too busy trying to see how deep the cut was. Then Ryan came down the hallway. He was crying, not panicked crying, the fake kind he used when he wanted to look like the victim. Mom turned to him, ready to scold him, and that's when he held up his arm. There was a bite mark on it, deep, bleeding, ugly. "He bit me," Ryan sobbed, pointing straight at me. "He bit me when we were fighting. He hurt me first." I just stood there in shock. I hadn't even touched his arm. But then Mom's face changed. She started scolding both of us. "Lucas, what on earth is wrong with you?" she said, pressing a towel to my chin with one hand and glaring at me with the other. Ryan buried his face in her side, sniffling like he was the innocent one. I kept repeating, "I didn't bite him," but it didn't matter. The mark on his arm was there, and all I had was my word. Mom split us up for the night. Ryan got to lie on the couch with ice on his wound. I got butterfly bandages on my chin and a lecture about controlling my temper. Later that night, Jamie came into my room. He stood in the doorway and said quietly, "He bit himself." I sat up. He said he saw it when Ryan was running back to the house. He bit his own arm, hard, until it bled, then ran straight to Mom. Jamie didn't say anything earlier because, in his words, I didn't want to get in the middle of it. I just stared at the wall. That was the night I realized Ryan wasn't just mean. He was calculated, sneaky, the kind of person who could do something terrible and then make it look like it was your fault. I tried telling Mom later, but she brushed it off as kids fighting. She never believed he bit himself, but I knew. And after that, I saw it everywhere. How he'd break something and frame someone else. How he'd start arguments and then play the victim when adults showed up. How he'd smile when no one was looking. That same glare hidden just under the surface. The scar under my chin faded over the years, but that night stuck with me. Because it wasn't just a fight, it was the moment I learned my own brother would hurt me, lie, and make sure I paid for it, and no one would believe me.